Taylor Bradford of the Gloucester Times joins us once again so we can check in on all things local. How are you, Taylor?
I'm doing well, staying dry after a crazy weather these past couple of days.
Yeah, now the election
Well,
is almost upon us, but we have a bigger story off the top, which is actually the creek is closed at Good Harbor Beach.
Yeah, so it's been closed all summer, but I know for people who come in and out of the city that may not exactly know that, it doesn't look like there's anything wrong with it, but I assure you, and the health department assures you that there is something in the water. The creek that kind of meanders around the backside of Good Harbor, known as Good Harbor Creek, is currently closed and has been closed all summer as the health department conducts an investigation into high levels of bacteria that have been found in the water. And so after finding as many as 1,178 colony forming units of enterococci, which bad pronouncing by me, but in the water this summer, the Gloucester Health Department worked with the state to kind of look at what the potential sources of the pollution were. According to the state, they can only have 104 colonies of this certain type of bacteria in water. And so, anything above 1,000 is just more than unacceptable. So that's why they closed the creek. And they've been looking at a couple of different places. And so far, the investigators have not found the source of the pollution. They're looked and I spoke with City Health Inspector Rachel Belize Toller, and she had mentioned that, they still don't have the pollution, but they've been working diligently and really collaborating with DPW and the state to try to figure out, looking and saying, that they have, tested the sewer lines. They've tested different aspects by, different condominiums and other places, other little creeks. And while they continue to find high levels of this bacteria in different places, they can't identify the source. The sewer lines are not the problem. There's a couple other different places that they looked at, at Eastern and Bass Avenue, trying to identify what might be over at Beechcroft Road. But again, none of these proved to be the source of the pollution. So they're still working. They've got an extension. So they're going to continue their good work of finding what might be the source, so that as we go into next summer, maybe people can go in the water. And if you are a winter swimmer, maybe they can resolve it so you can go in at that time as well. But for the meanwhile, stay out of Gloucester Creek, but Good Harbor Beach is open. So I want to emphasize that is the beach, and the main beach is open. Just don't go on the lazy river that you kind of connects to the water.
Taylor, I just want to quickly ask you, this has happened before, right? Where this creek has been closed?
I don't know since I've been here. I don't know if Corey, since you've been here a little bit longer than I have, if you might know. I know that it periodically closes, and yeah. I think it's more often that Tobacco Lake closed a couple of times. And so things like this aren't uncommon. But yeah, I can't speak of the specific dates.
Yeah, it's been an ongoing thing as far as I can remember. So, okay, thanks for that, Taylor. The election is finally upon us. What's the latest news there?
Yeah, so election is November 2nd, Tuesday next week. We're so close to the finish line to kind of get final results of who will be sitting in seats next year for different elected officials positions. We had a mayoral debate on Tuesday over at Magnolia, and man, it was heated between the two candidates. Both Verga and Safathia both kind of jabbed at each other in different ways. Verga was bringing up points of the hostile work complaints that were filed against the mayor earlier this year and prior to last year. And, Safathia was kind of pointing at different ways that Verga might have fallen as a school committee member or city councilor in the past. And so they did get to some issues. It was a pretty quick debate. But I think I was surprised in the past how civil they were towards each other. And I think this debate really kind of proved, and it was kind of the breaking point where everyone was kind of expecting throughout the entire election season, was expecting some sort of debate like this where they would kind of just be going at each other. And so it did happen, and we have one more debate to happen. So I'm curious to see what issues they get to, and if they're going to really hit on big ticket topics of the city, or if they're going to kind of focus more on a more defensive strategy rather than offensive strategy. So we'll continue to follow that. Definitely recommend going to 1623 to watch those videos or read the narrative that we've written on it on the Gloucester Daily Times. It's a really interesting story, and I think that definitely watching the debates prior to the election will definitely help voters kind of give an understanding of these different candidates, but also taking some time to see what they've done in the past, and maybe reaching out to somebody on both sides to better understand what they represent, because I don't think the debates truly quantify everything that each of these candidates are to the city, but they do give kind of a glimpse into how they communicate when brought with opposition.
And one thing we know for sure, there are going to be a lot of new faces after November 2nd serving the city of Gloucester. Okay, Taylor, we're still all picking up the pieces from the huge weather event we just endured.
Yeah, so it was crazy on Wednesday. I mean, first I'd like to point out that the winds got, above 75 mile per hour in some parts of here in Cape Ann, which 30 years ago this week we had the perfect storm with comparable winds. So I think it's it's a little bit of an eerie week for some people, and it's pretty intense. And I mean, you just cross over the bridge and you know that it's we've gotten hit hard this season because there are trees down everywhere. DPW is doing an excellent job of working with National Grid and other teams to try to remediate the situation and try to pick up the pieces, get people back online. But the day did not end with incident. We had a lot of boats turned over. One individual, a kayaker, had paddled out to his boat to get a generator, fell into the water. Another person came out and saved him, and he's okay. We had power lines falling down on the train tracks, closing down the West Gloucester train station. So it's just been kind of a hectic week. And if you're a parent, you definitely know the hecticness of it all because your kids are probably home right now because school has been canceled for the past 2 days due to the craziness of the weather. But we're hopeful that maybe next week with the election, it'll be a little bit sunnier. It looks as if Saturdays and Fridays going to rain. Sunday it might clear up a little bit, but we definitely are leaking into those fall and winter months where it's getting chillier. People should be having their jackets, and just noting that as you guys are going outside, and just because we are covered with so much trees here in Cape Ann, just to be wary of widowmakers and those trees that are a little bit more precarious, so that you and your loved ones might be able to stay safe as you guys continue to explore Cape Ann.
Spoken like a trail runner.
What did you say, Corey? Sorry.
Spoken like a trail runner. Yeah.
So I have to say that driving back from Gloucester today, it was hard to figure out what were Halloween events and what were actually trees leaning on houses. I mean, it looks like some were decorations and some were actual scary situations.
Yeah. And still lots of people without power. So we hope everyone's staying safe out there. Okay, Taylor, thanks for all your work once again. We will see you with us live for election night on 1623 Studios and Channel 12. Taylor will be joining us for coverage starting right around 8 o'clock or so before the results come in. So we can't wait to share that time with you all. Taylor, have a great weekend. We will see you November 2nd.
Bye, guys.
Bye.